this lesson, we are going to look at the present tense in English. There are two present tenses in English. One is called the simple present, and the other is called the present continuous. They are both used in different contexts and have very different meanings. So the question is, which one do we use and when? Let's compare the two, starting with the simple present. First things first, the structure. How do we form this tense? It's called simple because you only need one verb. You take the infinitive, for example, to work, remove the to, and place the verb after the subject. Then conjugate it. This is the easy part. The only change you have to make is to add s to the third person singular. Now, of course, there are some exceptions. There are two irregular verbs in the present tense in English, to have and to be. To have is almost regular, but you can see that the third person singular does not follow the rule we saw earlier. To be is very, very irregular. You can see that if it followed the standard pattern, we would say I be, whereas the correct thing to say is I am. And that's all, folks. The simple structure of the simple present tense. Now, when do we use this tense? Well, we use it to say that something is always true, a permanent truth or a permanent situation. For example, the sun rises in the east. I live in California. She loves her job. These are situations which don't change. We also use it to show a repeated habit. I play tennis every Monday. I never smoke. I often drive to work. One way to decide which tense to use are the key words which fit the contexts. In this tense, adverbs of frequency are a great way to convey a permanent or repeated situation. Words like always, sometimes, often, usually, occasionally, every, never. Now let's look at the present continuous, starting with the structure. How do we form this tense? In this tense, we need two verbs. The auxiliary verb to be and the gerund. That's the verb form which ends in ing, of the main verb, the verb that gives meaning to the sentence. Add the subject before the verbs, and there you go. Now, when do we use this tense? We use it to state that something is happening right here, right now. It tells us that it is a temporary situation or action. For example, the employees are talking on the phone. I'm writing a report. She is thinking about her next holiday. But the action doesn't have to be literally happening right now. It can refer to the current time period to tell us that a temporary action is in process. This year, I'm working on a lot of projects. He's learning Spanish at the Language Center. Again, let's look at the key words which are the biggest clues as to which tense you should use. For the continuous present tense context, words or phrases such as at the moment, currently, right now, today, this week, this year. These expressions tell us that this is an event happening now or around now. There is a third use for this tense, and that is to talk about the future. If the event is already planned and in the diary, we can use it to express our future plans. Sentences like, I'm starting a new job in September, or he's going on a business trip next week, work well with key words such as tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, in the summer, in June, in December. To make sure the listener is totally clear that this event is not happening now, but in some time. So that's the structure and the use covered. All of the examples you have seen were in the affirmative form of the tense. We also need to know how to form negatives and questions. First, let's take a look at negatives. You will need an auxiliary verb and the word not, plus the correct order of the words. It goes like this: subject, conjugated auxiliary, not, infinitive. That means there is no S on the verb, even if it's the third person singular, because you have already conjugated the auxiliary, and you can't have two conjugated verbs in one clause. Let's see for the continuous tense as well. Subject, conjugated auxiliary, not, gerund. Now, question time. The checklist is similar, but you do not need not. You will need an auxiliary verb in position 1, followed by the subject and the main verb. And then, of course, the rest of the sentence and a question mark. And there you go. The beginner's guide to the simple and continuous present tenses. Let's have a quick recap. The simple present has a simple structure, that is, only one verb. We use it for permanent situations and repeated actions and habits. The key words for this tense are the adverbs of frequency. Sometimes, often, never, always. For example, I sometimes travel for work. The continuous present is a complex structure with two verbs, an auxiliary and a gerund. We use this tense for temporary situations, actions happening now or around now, and future actions if they are planned and definite. For example, we're opening a new branch in autumn. Over to you now. Download the PDF so that you have a reference and try the following exercises to see how well you've understood. Good luck!